Yo, yo, yo. What is up, guys? Nick the Guy here. Let's Drift Media. Thank you for coming back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome on in. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about why dealerships can't keep mechanics, or the automotive industry in general, and where the mechanics are going. Why are people even leaving the industry? But just want to introduce the newest family member to the LDM squad. We got another kitten, guys. Black cat. Cat number 4, named him Mochi. Just want to introduce him. That's cat number 4. Does that make me a crazy cat person? If you're new here and you don't know my background, I worked in the dealership for about almost 10 years, mainly at Toyota. Started there when I was like 20 years old and pretty much stayed in the dealership till I was 29 years old. Went from Toyota, GM, Buick, back to Toyota, then to BMW for a year, then back to Toyota for 2 years, and now left the dealership completely and am a heavy equipment diesel service technician, I guess would be my job title. And it's now fleet. I'm hourly. I work on a fleet of vehicles and it's freaking awesome. But one thing that I have noticed lately in the last couple of years of my career as an automotive technician is that dealerships always seem to be hiring. Not even just dealerships, even independent shops. Seems like everywhere is trying to find mechanics, technicians. And I started to think, like, I don't remember it being like that when I first got into the industry, because it was hard as hell to get a job just as a lube tech because all the places were full and they weren't hiring mechanics. And now it seems like you could go to literally any dealership, and if you have a little bit of experience, it's like, boom, you're in. And it wasn't like that before. So that's why I kind of wanted to make this video. Just want to let you know that today's video is brought to you by Brunt Workwear, the brand that's transforming workwear. Brunt Workwear offers high-performing work boots at an honest price. Brunt recently sent me their Bulldog slip-on work boots with a composite toe. It has a variety of different style work boots to choose from, whether you're looking for slip-ons, lace-ups, high tops, low tops, composite toe, you name it, they got it. So I've been wearing the Brunt Bulldogs slip-on composite toes for the last 30 days at work, and guys, I'm not even saying this because they sent me these boots, but these things are goddamn comfy. You can tell they've taken quite a beating. I do a lot of crawling around at work, and this is just the beginning. So far, looking good and excited to see how long these things will go. If you're interested in trying a pair out for yourself, click the link down below to get $10 off your first purchase, as well as a 30-day risk-free trial. But let's get back to today's video. So what I've noticed throughout the years is it seems like a lot of mechanics are kind of just getting fed up with all the bullshit that happens when you're working in the dealership. Some guys are even getting completely out of the industry, going back to school to pursue another career, or even hopping into another trade because they realize this isn't what they thought this trade was cut out to be. So a lot of people are just leaving entirely. A lot of people I see just go to a different dealership that maybe offers more pay. Pay is obviously a big thing, and other guys like myself are just going fleet and getting out of the whole customer service industry in general. So obviously we'll get to the main reason is probably pay. Anywhere you go, they're gonna try and pay you as low as they possibly can and work you as much as, or expect as much as possible out of you as they can for that dollar. And the way it works in the dealership, kind of now how I see it, is pretty much take the pay we're offering you, or if you don't like it, leave. Like, we don't care. And that's the mindset I feel like almost every dealership I've worked at or even heard about. You guys can let me know in the comments how your dealerships are, or how your job is, or I guess any job in general is probably like that. But it's kind of like take it or leave it. Like, if you don't like it, freaking bounce. And the messed up part about it is there are a lot of good mechanics that I see have like plenty of experience, plenty of certifications, they know what they're doing, and dealerships just refuse to pay them top dollar. For example, myself, I'm not saying I have seen it all or am the best at what I do, but I know I was pretty damn good at it, or am pretty damn good at it. And when I was at Toyota, they didn't want to really pay me anymore when I got my top Toyota Master cert. And then they'll have a new guy coming in, no experience, just fresh on the line as a mechanic, and they want to pay him like $2 or $3 below me. So a lot of stuff like that kind of deters, I feel like, a lot of mechanics from staying where they're at, because at the end of the day, you kind of just start feeling unappreciated. That's one of the biggest reasons why I left the dealership. And then not to mention that, it's like, you could be a mechanic, a badass mechanic, fix any car, be the reason why that dealership has like a good rep is because you guys always take care of their cars, even like these crazy headache cars that nobody can figure out. And then you have your service writers right here making more money sometimes than the mechanics actually fixing their cars. That's kind of another reason, leads back to being like the redheaded stepchild of the family. It's like, the mechanics, in my eyes, the mechanics are doing the work. They're the ones fixing the cars. Like, you go to the doctor, the mechanic is like the doctor, in a sense. The doctor is the one who diagnoses the patient, figures out what's wrong with it, or what's wrong with you, and gives you the cure, gives you the antidote, the medicine you need to fix your problem. Same thing with the mechanic. The mechanic is the one doing the work, figuring out the problem, and fixing the car. Whereas the service writer, in my head, is kind of just like a receptionist. Like, they just talk to the customer, they ask them what's wrong with the vehicle, they send the car back to the mechanic gives them an answer, and the service writer just tells them how much it's going to cost to fix it. And usually the service writer doesn't even know about cars or what they're talking about. But at the same time, it's like, how are you going to have that, basically a receptionist, making more money, if not the same money, as the guy who's actually putting in the work? So that's one thing that's always bothered me. I mean, maybe I should have just been a service writer if it bothered me that much, but it just doesn't make sense. I mean, yes, a service writer does have to be like the punching bag, the verbal punching bag of the dealership. They have to take all the crap from the customer. The mechanic never has to take crap from the customer. But still, at the end of the day, they're a receptionist in my mind. Some service writers are probably gonna get pissed off at me, but that's how I see it, and that's how a lot of other people see it. Another reason, pretty big, is the flat rate system has its flaws. Yes, I know I'm in California. We get our guaranteed 80 if we don't flag more than 80. A lot of other people in other states say like, oh, you're so privileged, like we don't have that here, like whatever you flag is what you get. That's not the big deal, because I've never flagged under my hourly, how many hours I've been clocked in. So if you're not flagging more than the hours clocked in, there's something wrong. The problem's either you or where you're working at, and there's not enough work, which is understandable. But aside from that, I would say the biggest problem with flat rate is getting fed versus not getting fed. I used to not really believe in getting fed. Like, I used to think, oh no, they're just hating. But there is some truth to favoritism and getting fed. One thing that I noticed, and even other experienced technicians, especially a lot of the Toyota guys I used to work with, I'll go and talk to them, and they kind of have the same story, where it's like, when you first start off, you have no certifications, you have very little experience. At work, you're gonna get easy work. You're gonna get gravy, brake jobs, fluid flushes, stuff like that. Like really easy stuff, simple recalls, because those are the only things you're qualified to do or that they think you can handle. But the messed up part about that is those simple gravy, customer pay jobs, simple recalls, a lot of those end up paying the most hours and take you the least amount of time. Versus when you get a lot more experience, you start getting these trash recalls that don't really pay anything, but you're the only one certified to do them, so you're gonna get all these, while this other new guy's getting all this easy gravy work. And I really noticed that myself once I started getting higher in the ranks at Toyota. I would notice the newer guys getting a lot more easy work, and me getting a lot more work that was not so easy, and it would take me longer to do, maybe diagnosing or just work that didn't pay well, and I would spend a lot more time on it. So that's one thing I realized, as the higher up in the ranks I got at Toyota, the harder it was to flag more hours. And I know some people might say like, dude, like you want to make more hours, just work harder. Like, I used to be a firm believer of that. And yes, there is some truth to that. But tell me how you're gonna work harder when you're stuck on a vehicle, maybe it's even warranty, and you know, Toyota doesn't pay anything for warranty diagnosis really. So you're stuck trying to figure out why this vehicle is making some weird whistling noise at 65 miles an hour. And maybe that takes you like an hour. You got to road test it, you hear the noise, you bring it back, you try and modify some stuff, put some tape around the mirror, you know, try and see where that wind noise is coming from. You don't find it, you ask for a coworker to come in the car with you, maybe they can hear it from like the passenger seat. Meanwhile, this whole time you're doing that, that ticket's not gonna pay anything, maybe like a half hour for your time. And you just spent like an hour or two on that while you have this new guy next to you. He just started and he already knocked out like 3 brake jobs. So it's not even lunchtime yet, and this guy already has 6 hours and you're over here at an hour or two. So that's one thing that really gets frustrating, and I feel like it kills a lot of people's motivation, because they're just like, man, like screw this, like I'm getting screwed over here while these guys are getting all the easy work, and it's just not fair. And it really kills morale. It killed my morale for sure, and that's one of the big reasons I left as well. And I've heard that same story with these other guys that I've talked to. It's like, yeah, dude, like I used to start off, I was making good hours and stuff, and then I got my ASC master, or I got my Toyota master, or my hybrid master, and all of a sudden I stopped getting good work, and I'm not really flagging anything, and like I have crappy paychecks. So a lot of these guys are even asking me like how it is over here at Fleet, because they are just like fed up. They're just fed up with the dealership. So yeah, getting fed versus not getting fed. So that's one thing I always tell the new guys, like when you're new, like freaking grab the bull by the horns and run with it, because that's not gonna last forever, and eventually it's not gonna be as easy as you were before making hours. Yes, you can still make hours. I know a lot of guys who are top step master techs and everything, and they're making good hours. It also depends on where you're working, how the dispatching system is set in place, and yeah, there's a whole lot of other factors that come to it. But as far as I can tell, like all the older guys, they are just like fed up with it, and a lot of them, they're at that stage where it's like they've invested so much of their life into being a flat rate tech, it's like they can't really go anywhere else, because it's like they're almost stuck. So that's why I like to make these videos, because I don't want you guys to get stuck. And I feel like I made the right choice and didn't get stuck, because I feel like if I did stay at the dealership, by the time I was like 40, 45, I would have regretted not doing what I'm doing now. And if you guys can learn from me, that would be awesome. But I'm not saying the dealership is like trash. Like, yes, you can make a lot of money, but if you work in the dealership, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And another reason I feel leads back just to management. Management can really make or break a dealership, in my opinion. When I first started at the last Toyota, when I moved up here, the service manager was freaking awesome. Like, he was probably one of the best service managers I've ever seen across all the dealerships I've been at. Like, this guy actually cared, I feel like, about his technicians. Like, he didn't see everyone as just like a number. Like, okay, this guy's making us this much money, this guy's making us this much money. I felt like he actually cared about us. And that really motivated me to work harder for the dealership, because I felt cared about and didn't feel like I was just a number. But sadly, most dealerships or anywhere you work, you are just a number, and you're only as good to them as how much money you're bringing into the company. And that's kind of why a lot of people have this like, I don't really give a damn mindset when they go to work, because the company doesn't give a damn. So if the company doesn't give a damn about their employees, how are they going to expect their employees to give a damn? So I feel like management is a big factor. Honestly, if I still had that same service manager, I don't think I would have left that Toyota, because the problems and concerns I have, he would have addressed it versus not addressing it. So if you are at a place where management does care about you, they don't just see you as a number, and you do feel appreciated, don't take it for granted, because a lot of places aren't like that. One thing I told one of my friends a long time ago when he first got into Toyota was, just remember, everyone's a number and everyone's replaceable, because at the end of the day, it's true. Sad as it can be, you could die the next day, the dealership's a machine, it's gonna continue moving on, and they're gonna find someone else to replace you. Same as if you quit. You can quit tomorrow, they're gonna find another head to replace you, and they're probably gonna pay them less, because that's what a dealership wants to do. It's a business, understandable, but just keep that in mind. So that pretty much sums up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned something from it, and take it with a grain of salt, like always. So That's all I got for you guys. Catch you guys next time.